entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay. Welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections for elevating your business. Welcome to Getting the Edge with Kelly Wilson. And here's your host, Kelly Wilson.
Welcome to Getting the Edge. I'm your host, Kelly Wilson. Thank you so much for being with us today. Getting the Edge is brought to you by Edge Media Hub, a business community and media solutions established in 2013 to bring like-minded individuals together to grow and learn from one another. I've always believed that we can all do so much. We're all so much better together. So that's really been the idea behind Edge all along. For more information on Edge Media, please visit us online at edgemediahub.com. Total access begins with our annual partnerships. There are multiple partnerships depending on if you're an entrepreneur or small business or corporation. We love the support, and there are multiple benefits, including getting on the edge and contributing writers for our upcoming magazine issues, just many others. All of those you can check out on the website. Subscribe to the magazine issues. You can subscribe to our newsletters. We have a lot of fun here at Edge, and weekly with the shows, of course, and then also with our upcoming magazine issues. If you have not yet, make sure you check out the recent tribute issue, which came out just about the first of the year, celebrating amazing entrepreneurs in the community and small business owners. And all of their stories you can read for free with our digital issues online, and for your own printed copy delivered to your home or office, you can subscribe annually and have your custom copies delivered directly to your home or office. So again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our Edge Platinum Partners, All Trust Insurance, Pilot Bank, USF Muma College of Business, and Visit Tampa Bay. We would not be here without you. It means the world to have your support. Thank you. Again, so excited about the upcoming Women's Issue. It's our second annual celebration of women, and I'm already quite inspired and optimistic if you haven't figured that out. And I tell you, there is almost no words to describe the empowerment that I feel, the energy by being around all of these women and working on these interviews and putting the photo shoots together. It's been so much fun. And I have one of the honorees with me today, and I'm just love her. I'm so happy to have her with us. So I'm so excited to introduce Caden McGill, Executive Director for Dress for Success Tampa Bay. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I have admired you and looked forward to getting to know you better since meeting you at the Center for Women years ago.
Yes.
And it was back then, I think you had a lot of involvement with them, and there were so many fashion shows. Of course, this was all pre-COVID too, but you were always in the community. There was a lot of things going on. It was just it is such a great cause.
Yes, it is.
And I'm sure you feel quite lucky to be a part of it.
Oh yes, most definitely.
Well, tell us what is Dress for Success for those that don't know. I can't talk.
Dress for Success is about empowering women. Mm-hmm. You know, it's more than a suit. Mm-hmm. And that's what most people, from the name, you think of Dress for Success, right, giving out clothing. But, the suit is the beginning of what we do. And then when they come in, we help them. And it's a life-changing. It really changed their life because they start off with the suit, and then if they need employment, if they need coaching, we provide all those services. And then we have the job retention program.
And it all starts with the suit. A suit is amazing. I mean, a suit can make a woman feel completely different and empowered if you have the right clothes. And yes. I think it does start there. And then providing those other resources that they need to give them the confidence.
Yes, exactly.
So, okay, so tell us a little bit about how the program works or what's, because you just mentioned one. I'd love for you to elaborate a little more on that.
First of all, the suiting program, they come in, they get a personal shopper.
Okay.
And, spend about an hour with them and help them pick out the clothing and, really pamper. They get a brand new bra, which women love, So they get that whole outfit. And then when they come back, after they get the job, they get a week's worth of clothing where, we customize it based on the type of job.
Well, and if you think of it, that's a big, as you are, I remember being younger and looking for jobs in high school, just at any point before I kind of went down my entrepreneurial path. But often you don't, having the clothes, especially if you do not have the money to buy them, that alone can be a reason to deter you from getting a job.
Yes, so you look in the mirror and you can tell a lot of them that's the first time they had a suit on. and the confidence between that bra and that suit. I mean, you can just see them standing taller.
Right,
so,
right.
We have that program for the underemployed and unemployed women. And then we have the professional women's group. That's the job retention. We want them to keep the job.
I see.
So we they meet once a month. Now we're doing it on Zoom, but we have speakers talking about their career path and sharing with the ladies. We have health and wellness, financial literacy, all those topics. We had first-time home buyers Wednesday night. That was our speaker talking about first-time home buyers. So it's a lot of programs to keep them, empowered.
Right. Because once you have the job, to have that support from other women
Yes.
that have been there already, but also others that have been or part of the program as well.
Right, right.
So
and they encourage each other.
And you want to do well as they are. It kind of that keeps you, I would think, on your toes a little
Yes,
because
yes.
you want to succeed as
Right,
well.
right.
Interesting. Go ahead.
And I love, they give back. When they go through our program, we have one lady, she give us an AmScot money order every month. $15, $20, that is a big deal. One of our professional women's group just had a stroke. While she was in the hospital, she sent $50. And I'm thinking, and she was saying she was laying there thinking about all the people that have helped her along the way, and she sent us $50. And for them to give back their time, the volunteering, it means a lot to me. That, and that's why we empower them so they can empower others.
Absolutely, because they're going to pay it forward,
Yes.
and it's just going to keep dominoing
Right.
to the point and then grow. And that's what we need more of is more love, peace, and happiness spread.
And women helping women.
Absolutely.
That's what it's
Absolutely.
about.
Yeah, and the opportunity to see them shine and lead them toward their purpose in a sense, or feeling purposeful.
Yes.
So
yes.
are there, when you're do you, like, as far as matching with jobs or finding jobs, are there some that had, or some particular interests that you're then able to match up with those
and
interests?
we're thankful we have the business community that work with us. They do, do a lot of the workshops for us, the
Right.
speaking, the mock interview. And when they're even interested in a different field than what they're in, I match them up with someone that's in the field they want to get into. That have been great.
Yeah.
Been great, to do that. So they get the support, but even when we have to talk about if you want to be promoted on the job,
Right.
what is the necessary step? A lot of them is uncomfortable having those conversations. So someone from another company kind of coach them to know how to go into their boss and all. So it really, we could not provide the services if we didn't have volunteers in the.
And I saw that firsthand with with different things that we did with the Center for Women and just all of the
Yes.
so much of the community coming together
Right.
for the cause and to help, and it was it's a great feeling.
Yes, it
to be
is.
around and just to see the women grow, and you have a great facility too. And you're located on Howard Avenue.
We're located on Howard. We also have a location inside the Career Source of Tampa Bay on Florida and Bush. We opened that last year in spite of all what was going on.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and May the 5th, we are getting ready to have a ribbon cutting and grand opening for St. Pete at the Sunderland Family Center. We'll have a branch there as well because we was getting a lot of calls for St. Pete, and I was gonna make it happen.
Where is the St. Pete branch now?
It's at the Sunderland Center on 22nd.
Sunderland? Oh, okay.
22nd South in St. Pete. So we'll have the ribbon cutting May the 5th.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
Send us the information. We'll be happy to help
sure will.
share that and promote that grand opening. That's because unfortunately by the time we air, it'll be past. But wow, I didn't realize you had grown into 3 locations.
Yes, yes.
Wow. It's great to see that growth. And the original founder, what?
Pat Ellerton.
Okay.
And she'll be selling a birthday this month. I'm having dinner with her Saturday. But Pat Ellerton is the founder. And she was reading in the magazine, People's Magazine, years ago. And Nancy Lovelet, the founder of All the Dress for Success, had one in New York. And Pat was reading about it, and she said, I want to bring that to Tampa.
Yeah.
And she called her and went to New York and came back and started it. We started at the Irwin Center Technical School on Hillsborough. That's where she started first, and then Howard.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean.
So how many years have you been in the current location?
We've been in the current location about 20 years.
Oh, I didn't realize you'd been there that long.
The city of Tampa, that I'm so thankful that allow us to use that space. So that have been great.
That's right. I had the pleasure of stopping by and having
Yes.
a tour of the facility. And as we have gotten to know each other better, and I had a chance to do your interview for the upcoming women's issue, which I look forward to talking about that some more. It is just a great space. But you were telling me a story about police officers, or
Yeah, it used to be a police substation.
okay.
And Dick Greco is the one talked to Pat and got her, gave her the space because we didn't have space. And then police is still come in and out of there.
That's funny.
And so then Pam Iorio was mayor. She came in and brought her suits, and we had just small space. Didn't have the whole building. And so I said, oh, I need more space. We want a dressing room. We want that. So she didn't say anything. And then later on they called us, and we was able to take over the space, which,
Oh, wow.
is wonderful.
Yeah, it is a nice space there too. And then being able to have these multiple locations so that you can,
Yes.
because I assume it's difficult for women, to be able to travel and come into St. Pete or,
Oh,
or
yes.
back and forth. So so Florida Avenue, then Howard, and then now on
St.
22nd.
Pete, yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's been so, again, here I go, like trying to find words like to describe, you got all of you, but even with the women's issue, the first women's issue, the nonprofit issue, all of them, I think it's the energy that we all have as individuals, and the drive, the ability to overcome, and
Yes.
and when it is true what they say about surrounding yourself with those people that unknowingly empower you.
Yes. Yes.
And that is quite special. It really is. And I don't think that's I think what is also so amazing. You don't even realize how much you influence others, and the humbleness, I think, of everyone. And I think because when you get to this point where, you just want to give back and do
Yes.
good and help, see other people succeed, and spread love. And so at that point, I don't know, it's just such a content, bliss feeling, so anyway, you guys are I am so honored, to have the opportunity. And I just want to say thank you, for everything that you do and all the women that you've helped, because of you, they're where they are, and then now they're helping others. So you just
Yes,
think
well,
of
thank
the
you.
floods, in a sense. I don't know if that's the right word. That sounds more negative, but just all the people, that have just dominoed just because of, and then even Pam Iorio being a part of this upcoming issue, and then, her
Yes.
piece and different things. And it is wonderful too, hearing the stories of some of you talk and how you mention others and, just like an orchestrated,
Right.
but almost not even knowingly. Like I said, it's all kind of unknowingly, just such a great thing. So, yeah, I guess I probably never will stop talking about. I assume everybody's tired of my post, being so happy. I'm just so excited.
Well, that's great.
No, but I love it. Well, let's talk. I look forward to helping Dress for Success in any way that I can, and especially with your upcoming ribbon cutting. Just keep us posted
Yes,
and let
I
us know.
will.
We'll be happy to help and promote. So let's talk. You're from Florida, right?
From Florida,
And
yes.
So tell us a little bit about you and where you're from.
Well,
originally.
grew up very small town, Avon Park,
And
about
so-
an hour and a half from here.
Okay. Now,
So-
which direction? Lakeland, like east, west?
South.
South.
Uh-huh,
Okay.
South, grew up, I was pregnant at 15, very low self-esteem. And didn't really have direction, didn't know what I wanted to do, and I know I was a handful for my parents. So
Tell me about
after-
being 15 and pregnant. I mean, I was 17 and pregnant,
Well,
so I know in a
but-
sense what I dealt with. How did you feel?
But at 15, we go through a stage where we just think we're grown.
Yeah.
Just
It's funny how
to
we knew
me-
more
right.
then than we do now.
Yes.
Right?
So a bumper sticker say, anything you want to know, ask a teenager. And we just think we grow. And I didn't even realize what I did know until now.
Right.
Now I know, oh my goodness, I can't believe I drove everybody crazy. So, You know, I'm thankful that my parents was there.
Right.
Because they raised my daughter till she was, 13. But, just looking back, some of the mistakes, and I realize, and that's why I talk about self-esteem, a lot of the decisions that I made was based on low self-esteem.
They were made
when
out
that
of
thinking is not,
Right.
is a mess.
Absolutely,
It messes up everything. And so that's what I didn't realize until now. So pregnant, and then after I got pregnant, I did not like school, did not want to go to school. All my friends going to college, I kept saying, I'm not going to college. And, and I was thankful my parents said, you need to do something. So I end up, moving to Lakeland. And then when I moved to Lakeland, I said, I like fashion. Let me get into fashion. So I went to a college in Lakeland and took fashion merchandising. And I did that, and then I really feel like, I don't want to go to school no more after I finished that. So then I started working in retail.
Okay.
And I worked in retail for 15 years. And, I started thinking, working on myself with my low self-esteem. And I'm always saying, I used clothes for years covering up, what I was feeling. I was covering it up with clothes, and I had to undress one day and get real with me.
Yeah.
And do some work.
Look in the mirror and try to, 'cause ultimately we want to be happy.
And
I
yes.
think the key is identifying within us that there is something wrong, and there are these triggers that have happened at some point in our life that are why we are. It's identifying those triggers, and then, like you said, taking the clothes off and looking inside.
And you have to unlearn, but you first have to know it's a problem.
Right.
And
That's a
I
big
realized
step,
it
though,
was
I
a
think.
problem.
So, because we so often, it takes us so long to get, often it can. And so I think that's the big thing.
You have to.
Because so often, too, I think you deflect the what's wrong with you on somebody else's problem. You're more of the victim to things. So the idea that you come to that conclusion, that is like 50% of it, I think. And then, obviously, it's retraining.
And, at that time, I couldn't talk to anyone. I would read a lot of books in the library about women overcoming. And, I just stayed in the library, every book I could get, and then write in my journal. And that helped me get it out of here, because if we are not able to talk, we got to get it out some kind of way. And I had to write, and I got a lot of it, and was able to go back and see, what I need to do. I couldn't blame anyone else. And what we sometimes people cause problems because they're having problems, but they don't know how to ask for help. And I realized now I was causing a lot of problems because I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know I was a mess. So writing in my journal and going back, and then once I realized, I said, I don't want other women to go through this. So I decided to go through some training and volunteer at the Crisis Center. And so I went through their 6 weeks training. I volunteered, and I only went to the Crisis Center while I was in retail. I volunteered 4 hours a week. And I did ElderNet, called an elderly lady every morning and checked on her. Did that for 20 years.
I love that.
And the only reason I started, I was planning on doing for 1 year, just to see if I really wanted to go in that field of helping people. And I ended up being there 20 years. While I was still in retail,
all from a volunteer standpoint?
Yes, I volunteered for 20 years at the Crisis Center. Then I volunteered in the women's prison for 9 years. I just wanted to, I knew I had to help to keep people, and I know a lot of it started from the self-esteem.
That is amazing. Again, because it is, again, finding and acknowledging something's wrong.
Right.
That is special in itself, because as you see and you go visit the women in the prison, or even the women that you're helping elsewhere, they didn't find that internal optimism on their own.
Right.
Or that internal drive, that internal connection that some of us, we're more in tune to.
And what I also realized, and this is some years ago, I'm just so grateful that, people just show up to help Dress for Success, and the volunteers. And I remember one of the fashion shows we had at Dillard's, people didn't see, I was in the corner crying because that was the first, I didn't have to do nothing. And I'm so used to running around putting together events.
Right.
And every time I say, no, Miss Katie, that's already done. No, Miss Katie. And I just got over in the corner and just cried. Everybody was doing. But it also reminded me, of all the years I gave to the Crisis Center in the prison, it's coming back.
Well, and that was, I think, training too, get you ready
Yes,
to kind of be in this
yes.
position where you could lead and confidently lead and take others or
Yes.
lead others, to their prosperity.
Right.
And their internal peace. That is so important.
Very important.
I don't think I have done so much research over the last decade, and I kind of talk about my personal self journey or soul searching, just where I've dedicated 10 years of my life to follow my path of what, eliminating every negative and just following, what am I supposed to be doing? But that, doing that and going against what others are telling you, it's not often easy, and
No.
just having that support and that camaraderie, I guess, with others. But it is, as I have done my own self-reflection, it's interesting because you have to take the time and have solitude. And so
Yes.
often we become dependent on other people. Many go from relationship to relationship, and it's just unhealthy. You look outside for happiness, and often if they would take time, to just for themselves and get in tuned, with.
That's what you have to do.
And anyway, and it can be life-changing. But, just anyway, having those organizations to help people do that.
Right.
And people like yourself, is we
But
need them. We need you.
the trust, a lot of the ladies that we work with is the low self-esteem, and they don't trust people. They have lost that trust. And having to build that back up and help them to realize, all of us are different, and everybody's not out to get you.
Yeah, and we all have our own realities in our mind that, like, even sitting here today, our realities are, what's going
Right.
on. We're all living in our own minds, right? So whatever we make up on, and then believe, and a lot of that starts from when we're so young, we don't even understand or know. But anyway, it has an effect.
And one of the best things I think I learned from Center for Women when I worked there, and me and the executive director, very good person, Beth. I mean, she just, helped whatever I needed. But,
Right.
I had to learn how to fight fair. And that's what I also think about with some of our ladies. I learned there to learn how to attack the problem and not the person.
That's
We're
good,
so
right.
easy to be offended,
Right.
and I have to, me and her would have knockdown, but it's always about the program or how we're going to implement something. And they would sometimes, some of the staff would hear us going back and forth and walk out, and she'll say, "Okay, how's your daddy doing?" And they said, well, and that was puzzling the people. But that's what, people have to learn how to fight fair in business. And because we have different agreements, and the other thing I learned that if two people in the same organization always agree, one of them is unnecessary.
Right. And I was just going to say that, right? You want someone that's
right.
going to challenge you
Yes.
and open your eyes up potentially.
But
or
we take things
awareness.
so personal.
Right.
So I used to, for some of our ladies, I used to keep Q-tips on my desk. And I would get, when they get to blaming everybody, and, I would hand them a Q-tip. And it meant quit taking it personal. That's what the Q-tip mean for me. And, and that's what we miss so many opportunities because we take things so personal. And I had to learn, you got to toughen up and not be so easy offended. And when you have a low self-esteem, you're easier to offend all the time.
Oh, absolutely. And it's absolutely. We don't realize that we have the power inside of us.
Yes.
And that is so unfortunate. It's funny. And then you think about even the Wizard of Oz, with Glenda the Good Witch, I
Yes.
think. And she, she's talking about the ruby slippers, and she says, you had, the magic was in you all along. All along, my
All
dear.
along. That's right. And we be looking for the outside.
Right.
Yes.
And if we would just tune in, and it sounds much easier, or it sounds easy. I know it's not. I worked for
It requires
years.
work.
But just like we practice anything, just like you wanted to become an expert, or spent 20 years working with the Crisis Center. You wanted that experience of learning. It's no different with our minds. We practice, you work on things, and you can change your mindset. But so often, and again, I think our surroundings, and family and society, it's not often them personally that, it's just society, and they don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
But that's right.
But it takes that inquisitive mind like you had, researching and realizing that, there are some problems here. And
we have to be real with ourselves. And that is, you can fool a lot of people, but being real with you.
I'm trying to think of, I've read so many books lately, and it's, the other day I read The Four Agreements, McGill, Ruiz, and, so many of these books are, it's the same message, it's just said differently.
Right.
But, it is so simple if you think about it, and I'm trying to think of number one, and I'm blank maybe, but, I know it's, don't take anything personally. Because if something is going on with someone else, it doesn't have anything to do with you.
Right.
Nothing. You're there. And, even if someone lashes out or calls you a name or doesn't like you, obviously it doesn't have anything to do with you.
Right.
I mean, you have to understand that it's something to do with that individual. I think once you can get to a point where you no longer take things personally, and, that is, I'm trying to think of the other one. And then, what was it? Oh, never assume anything. Never assume anything.
That's right.
I mean, if you have a problem, the first one is live your truth. I mean, you have to be honest with your word. Live your truth. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you haven't done something, then make good by it. If you, whatever because I feel we can't truly be happy and at rest unless you've made good with where you're out of balance, or where you may think you've wronged somebody or somebody's wronged you. Maybe just about forgiving yourself or forgiving them.
That's right.
It's just, but it's becoming aware of those things. And then don't take anything personal. And then what did I say? Oh, never assume. And never, because you think about it. Okay, even from a sales perspective, if I think back in the day when you start like representing a product or a company, and I remember sitting for a while when I was trying to get my real estate business going, I worked for Singular Wireless, AT&T, and did outside wireless sales. And I like people, but no one wants to feel like they're pushing a product on anyone. But I remember sitting in the car and having to ramp myself up, to go inside. But if you think about it, at that point I'm worried because I'm assuming, they don't want to see me. I'm assuming, oh my goodness, I'm making all these assumptions before I even go in, right? And I'm taking it personally because I'm already, it's all about, and those two right there would eliminate that and give me the power and the courage that I would need, because I wouldn't take it personally, and I would not assume. I'm gonna, it's just that when you think of, and then the last thing the last agreement was just do your best. Just do your best. I know it's simple, but it's like we are so critical on ourselves too. But if we just have that mentality every day, I'm going to do my best, then there's no judgment. You take away any of that. Wow, I just thought I'd share that, because it just fits with, implementing that. And again, there's so many different things on all of these topics and this internal connections, and all of them are just said differently. But I think all of that too, because we all interpret everything differently, but we all hear and understand differently too. So, okay, that's my latest book. That's one of them. Oh my goodness, I have been on but I think once we realize we don't know anything, we become so hungry for knowledge, and that's really where I am at as I have, I need to get out of the house and go do something other than get out of my, just reading.
But learning something every day, that's my goal, learning something new every day.
Yeah. So what, beyond the 3 current branches that you have, what are the future plans with Dress for Success?
To serve more women. That is the main thing, is that, I really is to serve more, and then to help women to get in their ideal jobs. It's just not a job. We always, we help them, and I always say, don't get stuck here. They, let us know what you really want to do, and we help them with the plan. And I really want to see more women and the ideal jobs and the entrepreneurship. It's so many of them, they don't even realize, because I see potential in them that they don't see in themselves. You know, they'll say, oh, Ms. Kate, I just one day wish I can, you know, have a restaurant.
And those dreams are there for a reason, right? Right, absolutely.
And you know, and to help them break it down where they can see, you know, and I never forget one of the ladies before, when cell phones first came out, one of the things we used to do, we used to go on tours, take a group of women on tours, and the reason we started that, because I sent one of the ladies to HSN to apply for a job, and she said, I didn't go in, Miss Kate. Have you been over there? That place so large, and it intimidated.
Right. Yes.
So we started going on a tour. They have lunch there. They spend time there. Different companies, all these big companies that allowed us to come. So one of the ladies that was always taking pictures with her phone, and she would take pictures, and we having to stop and pose, getting on the bus and out. And so one day I said, you know, I said, you always volunteer to take pictures. She said, yeah, I want to be. And I never forget, we was on the tour at Tampa General Hospital. And she said, I want to be a photographer. And I said, if you really want to be a photographer, you have to be serious. Everybody taking pictures on their phone. You need to get a camera.
Right.
You got to stand out in the crowd.
Right.
I said, just don't use a phone, because all of us have phones.
Right.
And I'm so thankful she followed that, and now she's a photographer. And we hired her to take pictures at least 3 of our events.
Oh, wow.
But it's, you know, they just don't believe they have it in them. And she would have been forever just clicking pictures with the phone. And you can't do that. I said, you got to get in position, and it start with the camera. Get a real camera.
Right. And start making it real. Right. And then it just is amazing kind of what happens after that, even, you know, internally. From you almost start thinking, oh, this feels good.
And we have to pull it out of them. A lot of times they don't even want to share their dreams, because they feel like, you know, oh, you know, they're going to laugh at me. I'm never going to be. And that's why sometimes we have a workshop, just dream big. We do the vision board, you know, and they have to see themselves. And I say, you have to say what you want till you see what you say. You got to keep seeing it.
Yeah, and then I'm even trying to figure out too how you share messages, because we do all interpret differently, right? So as you're working with people, and because you know, as I just talked about these 4 simple agreements, you know, it seems simple, but it's not. But if you plant that seed to where every time, because even now, as you mentioned, the photographer, you know, she says, oh, I couldn't do this, right? You know, we're automatically assuming it's
right.
But if we can start making, you know, if somebody could become aware, oh, I just had that thought, you know, as when we're talking, or sometimes I'll say, you know, and you start identifying when you say these words, right? Then all of a sudden you're, oh, I did it again, and I don't know, do you think that would, I'm curious asking. I have no idea. Like, do you think this, or it just depends at what level of
you know, I think
like
sometimes
mindset
they don't hear themselves, and you know, and going back to, I remember having a conversation with a young lady, boyfriend beating her, you know, and you're trying to come up with make sense to just leave,
right?
You know, but I know that she don't hear that yet,
right.
So. You know, in this particular day, she came in, we had gone through meetings 5 or 6 times. And I said, I need to do something different. And I know it was against every rule, but I had a tape recorder under my desk. And she came in, went through the same thing. Oh, he just doing this and that. So I recorded it. So when she finished, I said, I want you to hear something. And I walked out the room and closed the door. And when I came back, all I said to her, if that was your best friend's voice on that phone, what advice would you give her? And she started crying.
Wow.
And that was the last time I saw her. She never called me anymore. I lost contact. I don't know what happened. But that was the...
Wow, you almost brought tears to my eyes.
That was the conversation. But she needed to hear herself.
And you felt she was ready.
Yes, she was ready. But we can give... You know, we can give somebody else the best advice, but we won't take our own advice. One of the toughest things that I am learning, that I have to make sure I'm practicing what I preach.
Right.
When I was in the hospital, you know, and I'm laying there and I'm thinking, I heard my own voice telling one of the ladies that, you know, you got to get up. You might be down, but not out. And I heard my own voice, and that's what practicing when I got to get up, you know.
Wow.
And it's easy to, while you're down, and think you just you know, you down and for good, but you're not. You got to talk to yourself, and you have to learn how to encourage yourself. And that's what I have to tell them all the time. Write affirmations. You got to encourage yourself.
And combat the negative ones. As
Yes.
those, it's funny, and especially when I first started the business, and everyone around me was, they just, you know, even my own family, just, you know, they don't see the dream that
Yes.
you do. But, you know, as these negative, this was way in the early years as I was, you know, trying to figure out mental things. But I remember as negative things would come into my mind, I would envision popping them like bubbles. And because it was like something I read somewhere and then you see them float away, you know.
See, and that's what you have to do. I remember when stuff come in my mind, I say, return to center. That's not,
I don't
it
want
don't
it.
live here. Return it to center.
Right.
And you have to come up with whatever process
works for you.
what
Right.
works for you.
Yeah.
Right.
It's also one of the mantras was peace, love, and prosperity. You know, that to me was, as negative things, that became my mantra like a year or two ago. And I've talked to friends and have shared that. You know, I'll say, they'll still, how's your day? And they'll say something, and they're like, peace, love, prosperity. You know, it's funny. And I'm like, you know, you can come up with your own. You know, but that works for them. They don't necessarily know to do their own. They're you know, but by me sharing that, they'll use it. Like it works for now. I think as they grow a little more, you know, with some of their mindset work.
Right.
When they're ready, you know, they'll have their own. But I think in order to stay positive and on track, and I mean, between your family, you know, family, society, and people that I think just don't want to see you succeed because they didn't. You really have to be careful of who you give power to.
That's right. And, you know, when you make up your mind, you want to make some changes, you'll have people that back you and some will attack you. So you have to be very careful, you know, who you share things with.
That's I say pick a couple few. And other than that, you don't need to talk about it. You know, your best just is staying silent and do what you do, and just show them later with, you know, or people can see.
Yes, one of the things I've learned, we just said to the girl the other day, I said, people, they want to help, but a lot of times they want to help their way instead of asking, what can I do to help? And I had to learn that what I think might work for you might not be what you need.
Absolutely. Well, and if I ask you your opinion, what you respond is going to be your opinion based on your experiences. As I've again gotten to this point, my daughter will ask me something, and I'll say, you know, if I were to answer that, I would really just be giving you my opinion, and I really don't want to sway you either way. This is something you need to think about on your own. And she'd say, you know, why can't you just be like Dad and just act like you know everything, you know, and just give me the answer? But it's not that simple, and I don't want, you know, it's. Even as I've been building the businesses, as I needed help and trying to figure things out, and you know, you would ask 3 people their opinion on how to, even whether it's growth in a bit, whatever it may be, in life or business, and they're going to get 3 different answers.
Yes.
And then ultimately it's up to you. So you're almost, you know, and that's when it's encouraging information. At least it's positive. But then, you know, unfortunately, so often you're going, you know, you could face, you know, just negative information, which then detours you and. For, you know, potentially not the right reasons.
Right.
And that can be very harming and send them backwards, you know, instead of forwards. So, yeah, wow, I cannot imagine 20 years with the Crisis Center and then even, you know, beyond that. And you didn't get paid for that time.
No.
This was time
but
that
I
you
knew
just
I
dedicated.
wanted to help. I knew that's what my purpose is, to serve, and I don't care where I am. I know I'm supposed to do that.
Yeah, no, you know, it's probably a wonderful feeling too, feeling like just 100% that you're where you're supposed to be and you're fulfilling your purpose. And not that you're done yet, you still have.
Yeah, and I know people have to
do.
realize, when you realize your purpose, it doesn't matter the job you're on.
Right.
You're doing what you're born to do, you know, and I'm going to say, wherever you put me, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. And that's what, you know, you have to realize. And there's so many unhappy people that's working, you know, and so that's why one of the things we do is say it for our clients, right? What is your ideal job? And if they don't know. So I say, okay, you want to work indoors, you want to work outdoors, you want to work with people, you want to work with things. And I always say,
Right.
if you don't like people, please don't go in customer service. Because there's some people born just to get on your nerve.
Right.
So,
Right.
and we have to help them. They just have never even thought they could take the time to come up with an ideal job. And I say, and that's what we want to look at. And they're complaining about the positions they're in, but they don't know where they want to go. You'll
Right.
never get there if you don't know where you want to go.
Like with many of the women that come in through Dress for Success, what have many of them been through, or is it, have they been in domestic situations?
We have women that come out of incarceration. We have women that domestic violence, low self-esteem, just downside. What I really like about Dress for Success in the last 6 years, we have taken the word disadvantage out of our mission statement. We just have women. It's not. And when I first started, it was women 18 to 38. Now it's 82. The oldest
wow.
woman we have worked with is 82. And, and I never forget, because we have a partnership now with AURP, she was in one of our classes, and she was crying every day in the class. And so I knew she wasn't job ready. We give them a coach and they have to do mock interview. I knew she wasn't job ready. But I told them, the coordinator, please allow her to continue, because she needed that support. Her husband passed, and she thought she had money, and she didn't have any money. And so now she's in the class because she had to go back to work. But she had not gone through the process of healing. And I knew those women was providing that support. So I just let her be a part of that class because she needed that.
Right.
And just crying and crying, and she just had no money. So we had to help her with resources. Her needs was different. And
Right.
that's what we have found out with a lot of the seniors. They like being part of our group because it's all women, and they support each other. And that way they might not need the job, but we can help them with other things that they need.
Yeah, and it is. I can assume now. You've learned because you do have so many different needs.
Yes.
So many different, because everyone is going through different things. So it'd be hard, like, for one program to kind of fit all,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So being able and having the connections and the community support, I can imagine is, it's sad. It hurts my heart to think that someone 82 needs,
Oh, yes. And we see a lot of that now. And, one of my things say, people will say they will stick by you through thick and thin, but when they get thick, a lot of them thin out.
Right.
So they have people that have been there, and all of a sudden.
So many are just takers too, in a sense, where
Yes.
when it's time to give, they don't have anything
yeah.
to give. It's not within them, to give. And they're not there yet, to where they can do that. What is your takeaway as you've worked in the prisons and with the women? That, like, I can imagine that being a great experience. I met with someone that worked with one of the prisons a while back, and you have to be careful with where you don't want to overextend yourself either. I mean, there's so many things I'd love to do, and I even thought that might be something that I would like to do. But anyway, that was many years ago.
What I have learned from is that they're just like us. They just have lost hope. And I know part of my job was to give them hope and the encouragement, and let them know that it's not over. And I made a point when I volunteered for the prison that was in South Tampa. It was Ruskin area. When I volunteered for 6 years, we could wear anything. The volunteers. I made a point to dress up. I just couldn't tell you.
Give them something to look up to.
They could not. They was waiting to see the outfit because they didn't see clothes. And they said, "Oh, Miss Caden, you always," and putting on a scarf or putting on. And I never forget when, and she works downtown now, when I had a scarf on and I took the scarf off and was talking about change, because I know how to tie a scarf a lot of different ways. And I took the scarf off. I intentionally wore the scarf that day so I can show them that you can change. And I was showing them to change the scarf all these different ways. didn't realize, and I received a letter from one of the girls, that made her make up her mind that she wanted to change. When she saw me do the scarves and showing them how. And can't not believe that she ended up writing a letter, and when she got out, she came right to Dress for Success. And we have helped her. She was in prison 32 years.
Oh my goodness.
And had 3 life sentences. And one of the attorneys wanted to do some pro bono work, and they found her case. And that's,
oh my goodness.
But she, to this day, and even in my letter, she always talk about the scarf, how I talked about change. Because I had to make sure I wear props and stuff that I could use to demonstrate to them, like some lessons, for life. And it's just that they, and I always say the women behind the wall feel like it's no hope and nobody don't care. And I, I want to get off from work and then go home, but I knew that they need us to reach out to them. And I know it could be me behind the wall, and to reach out and show that I care. I was so glad when the prison allowed me to take Who Moved My Cheese. We had a book club, and all of them read Who Moved My Cheese and talked about change. And they were so excited. And my goal was to do something different than what they, was used to and just bring something. And here I'm thinking I'm going to have the book for, 2 or 3 weeks we're going to do. They read it in one time, and they were just going on the net. So I was able to.
You put a spark back in them. And give
that's
them a
what
little
we
light.
and it's no different than a lot of the women out here. They're walking around in prison.
Oh yes,
And so trying to get them to peel off and open up, it's no different. And in bad situations, and I remember one of the girls, 5 kids. She was living with this older guy, and so often. That's when I was doing volunteer work at the spring. She kept coming in and out of the spring.
Oh my
and
goodness.
I never forget, she looked at me one day, and she said, when it get heated up, I just have to, leave. But she looked at me once, she said, Miss Caden, where else I'm going to go? Who going to take me with 5 kids? Where I'm going? I have to go back.
Oh my goodness.
And she had done worked this in her mind that she had no choice.
That was her answer, right? In her mind, that was, her life didn't matter any more than that. I mean, it was, wow. And
something so simple, that's why we have, when people donate purses and stuff, put a note in it. Victoria's Secret just donated some wallets, and everybody wrote a little note. And I received yesterday from a text, the lady said, I opened up my wallet, and this was and she sent me a picture. It said, you're worthy. And she said, I needed that so bad.
Katie, you're making my eyes water. Stop it. My eyes are already bothering me.
But something so simple. We have so many opportunities to encourage people, but we have to take the time to do it, to encourage. And that's what we are all called to do, to serve and encourage.
Yes, I believe you are right. But you are extraordinary. Not many have taken the time to dedicate 20 years and just talking about that period and providing that spark with these women and providing some hope. We all need hope. When hope is gone,
I just don't want them to end up, that thing. It just took me years to undo and to change my thinking. And I still work on it. I make sure I'm constantly learning. And if we don't have nobody to walk us through, sometimes we give up.
Yeah. And that's not a good place to be. And I can only imagine. And it's, we think about our kids, right? And when they're young or when we're young, or even for some adults, we make bad decisions, right?
All the time.
Thank God, you get through and, you don't end up with a record and you end up okay.
But,
not everybody's that lucky. Some things, it happens. And it could have been, and then that leads to other things, and then I believe it just can be a domino effect that can send them into this life of madness.
And what you do at your lowest point make all the difference in the world.
Well, you were just talking about the decisions that you would make with low self-esteem. I mean, it's when you are working from that part of the brain and that mindset, your decision, you're not.
I never forget. I wrote when I was just at my lowest. I wrote a suicide note. And I had a book. I don't even know what book it was. I don't know if the Bible, what. Then I had wrote this note on the pad. I just said, it's no point. And when I picked up this book, this little pamphlet fell out, said, "Don't give up, tie a knot and hold on." And I used to crochet. And I reached over and got my yarn, and I never forget, I tied a knot. And that day gave me hope. Every time I would get to a low point, I remembered that, and I kept the little pamphlet, say, "Tie a knot and hold on." My yarn probably was as long as this wall. And I used to remember every knot, the date that I tied it, and what I was going through.
Oh my.
I kept all of that in my mind.
Right.
And it just kept, but it kept me holding on at that time. And I never forget, I was writing in my journal, and it was just like God said, if your past is so bad, then why are you still holding on to it?
Oh, yeah. That's great.
And I forgot I kept the yarn, but I never, I can't even tell you one reason I tied a knot now. And I never forget, I had to speak at USF, some girls about something. I don't know what the program was. And I had the yarn with me. And I was talking about my lowest point. I said, I used to tell you every knot, what I was going through. And I started talking about it. I never forget, a young lady walked up and she said, I said I was coming to this before I go home and commit suicide. She said, I'm so depressed. And so she said, can I keep your yarn?
Oh my goodness.
And I gave it to her. Never heard from her, and that's how I got rid of the yarn. And for a second, it was like I didn't want to let go, but I knew I needed to. If that was going to give her encouragement,
right.
And I gave her the yarn.
Wow.
But I'd never forget
That's
that.
an amazing story.
Mm-hmm. And I think the little pamphlet was by Norman Vincent Peale that used to do motivation stuff. It was an old pamphlet, but that's what was on it. Don't give up.
But you needed to see that
at that time.
At that moment. And,
yes.
And you can't deny, those things that happen, and those signals, I guess,
right.
just to that are there for hope and,
right,
and
right.
as reminders as we lose our
and
way.
And when we go through, our lessons and what we learn, it helps encourage someone else if we open it up to share. And I'm so thankful that I'm comfortable now. Mm-hmm. That I don't mind sharing because I know it's going to help someone.
Oh, and your message, your part of you being here is what you've gone through,
yes.
And and how you've overcome that, and being able, to inspire others.
Yes.
And it is a good feeling too when you get to the point where you're okay with everything.
Yes, yes.
Where you're an open book. It's funny, like years ago, I never really talked. I had a group of girlfriends, but even when I got divorced, none of them knew I had problems. I mean, I had one particular that I would kind of confide in, but the others were like, "You're getting divorced? What?" But as the women would typically sit around and talk, I just listened. I'm not into sharing, really, anyway. But yeah, it's interesting, like just the perspective of things, yes. I guess.
Yeah, my family was I was married for 15 years, totally shocked. They didn't see no signs of divorce. I didn't.
Well, now I'm an open book. In fact,
right.
I probably say too much as I sit down or anywhere I go, because in fact, I know I embarrass my daughter half the time, but that's life. But I just feel like if I'm talking with someone, there's probably a reason I'm talking, and I just don't hold back, or I guess because I'm not ashamed of anything either.
Right.
Everything I have experienced or led, is it's all part of my path and brought me here, right? And when you kind of can accept all of that and you're in a good place, it's good. And you want other people to be there.
Right.
So what's next for you, Katie? What more?
One of the things that I want to do, I've been talking about, is a Motivation Monday, like a 15-minute call. The clients call in. I want to do, because Monday is the hardest day for most of them, and that's when we get a lot of, and I know they need that, cheerleading and all of that. So there's something that I want to do. I used to do a support group for the community. I did for 7 years, and we just talked.
And what was that for? Like just
and I
motivational?
just, when I worked at the Center for Women, what happened was when they get a job, we had to close their case because we
That was the purpose of them being there,
but,
right.
And you think that's not success.
Right, right.
And they still needed more. So I would do it twice a month on a Saturdays at the public library.
On your own time.
On my own time. And then when it got to be so successful, then we end up, the center wanted me to put it, because I just said, okay, you know, they figured this out. We helped them with employment, but some of them still, they needed to hold on.
It doesn't just stop there, right.
And so that's why.
And they are limited with the funding they have. And
right.
They really only have the resources they have.
So that's why I had to do it on the set. And then DICO started bringing a van load of women. And we just had, and I still get calls about, Miss Katie, you need to do that and it was called Let's Talk. And that's what we did.
I like that. Yeah.
You know, and I know that it's still a need.
Yeah. And sharing different perspectives and just, giving. Thankfully, I've been filled with hope. But, you know, I've had my own experiences, you know, where you just battle with darkness. And,
oh, yes.
And I think it looms in all of us, you know, it's whether it's wonderful. I hope we do part of, you know, some of that here and inspire, you know, everyone to go after their dreams and to not let anything deter them otherwise. That's really what it's all about. And sharing these stories, I most definitely believe that they're impactful and that, you know, people, I hope we motivate people to live towards their truth and live better lives, live the life they were intended to.
Right, exactly.
That's what, we're going to run out of time soon. We have about a minute left. Thank you so much for being here.
You're quite welcome.
I told you, we could talk forever. I so enjoy it, especially just that like-minded. I appreciate and honor everything that you've done. And I look forward to continuously watch you change lives. And
well,
I
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Check out more with Dress for Success. The amazing Caden McGill is going to be a part of our 2021 second annual celebration of women. So just gives you another reason to make sure that you check out and subscribe to the magazine. We are looking forward to hopefully a launch, September 29th. And I hope it is an opportunity where we can come together and celebrate. This upcoming issue will launch in May, but we'll wait to celebrate it when it's a little safer and we can all come together and follow whatever CDC guidelines there are at that time. But for more information, check out Dress for Success. You can get involved or reach out to us. Until then, never stop dreaming. We'll see you soon. Thank you.